High School.
From Thunder Bay's news source, the TV News Hour.
A lengthy jail term for a horrifying assault on a senior. City Council reviews a pricey infrastructure wish list. And pomp and circumstance as Barack Obama becomes the 44th President of the United States.
And we will have more on Obama's inauguration later on in the news hour. In other news, a 20-year-old Thunder Bay man has been sentenced to 14 years in prison following the horrific attack and sexual assault of an elderly woman back in 2007. The sentence came down today at the Superior Court of Justice for a case which lawyers on both sides say was one of the most difficult they've ever had to deal with. Amanda Bay has the details.
Back on August 21st, 2007, police were called to an Isabella Street residence, to the scene where an 87-year-old woman was badly beaten, sexually assaulted, and tortured, leaving her with broken bones, bruises, lacerations, and burns. Today, Justice Patrick Smith handed down a sentence to Alan Corey Escuega, a 20-year-old man who pleaded guilty to the crime. Smith explained to those in the courtroom that although Escuega had a sad, tragic upbringing going from foster home to foster home as a child, along with having a substance abuse problem for many years, Smith says his background doesn't provide any excuse or explanation for the crimes he described as heinous, incomprehensible, and shocking.
I think it's an ultimately fair sentence. The range, as Justice Smith indicated, goes all the way up to life. However, given this particular accused's lack of any substantial background, it's ultimately a very fair sentence.
Evidence linking Escuega to the incident included a fingerprint found at the elderly woman's home, DNA evidence, and this surveillance video. Today in court, Escuega did apologize to the family and the court when asked if he had any final words before the sentencing came down. While the Crown urged the court to impose a sentence of 20 years, the defense asked the court for a 10-year term. Smith handed down 14 years in a federal penitentiary, minus 32 months for the time Escuega has already served behind bars.
This was the toughest one I've ever had. It was a very difficult case to defend. It was a very difficult case to prosecute, from what I understand from Mr. McKenzie as well. Even the police officers had a difficult time with the investigation. So this is the kind of case that really tests the justice system.
Justice Smith called the case absolutely tragic, saying that 2 lives have been ruined. He says that no sentence imposed by the court will be sufficient to compensate for what happened to the elderly lady, with the effects of the attack robbing her of peace and happiness that she was entitled to enjoy the last years of her life. The Crown is not expected to issue an appeal. Amanda Bay, TBT News.
Thunder Bay's $220 million wish list of major infrastructure projects is being discussed at a special city council meeting being held this hour. The list of big-ticket items pegged for federal stimulus money was revealed at last night's council meeting held at Grandview Lodge. Christy St. Cyr reports.
The entire wish list has a price tag of almost $216 million. The most expensive group of projects is environmental sustainability, listed at over $84 million. The waterfront has $66 million worth of projects. The library master plan has over $38 million, and the roads have over $13 million. City CAO Tim Camiso says if there is additional infrastructure money included in the upcoming federal budget, they'd be ready to go.
The top of the list is our waterfront project. Of course, we're actively involved in trying to get senior levels of funding, but it's ideally suited, quite frankly, for some of the larger infrastructure funding projects that we've seen coming up. And then some of the other projects are really a mixed bag of our asset management programs, things like roads, things like facilities, things like our trail system, things like lighting programs in terms of retrofit street lighting.
Of the $216 million, almost $93 million is considered to be construction ready. Mayor Lynn Peterson says they've been working on this list for a while now.
We're really actually very fortunate that we started a process 4 years ago to manage our investment, and when there's an opportunity like this that comes very quickly, I think that we're far more ready than a lot of communities because of the plan.
During the meeting, Council approved the hiring of Deloitte to provide advice on the waterfront for development and real estate matters. Councillor Larry Hebert opposed the idea.
I think they should be there all the time, personally.
if they're going to be there, because, and I know it's going to cost more money to do that, but I think we're giving the wrong signal from a strategy standpoint by saying, oh, we're going to go back and talk to our advisor now or whatever.
In other business, Council also endorsed the $1.15 million application to the Provincial Ministry of Citizenship and Immigration to develop a web portal to attract immigrants to the region.
I think it's a great idea and it's long overdue. Thanks for doing it.
Council also passed information reports regarding land use planning policies for Nova Business Park and funding options for the restoration of the Finlandia Club. The group is meeting again this evening to discuss the $216 million worth of infrastructure projects before it's sent to Transportation Minister John Baird. Christy St. Cyr, TBT News.
A major improvement for tourism in the north was launched in Thunder Bay today. The Ontario Tourism Minister and the region's new Conservative MP were on hand to announce a $2.3 million investment in new tourism marketing strategy for Northern Ontario. Pat Dalsetti reports.
This is laying out here today. You'll hear in more detail from the Minister a 5-year plan looking forward.
With that, the announcement of the 5-year marketing strategy for Northern Ontario tourism was unveiled at Thunder Bay's Wilderness North Visitor Centre. The $2.3 million is being split between the federal and provincial governments. The partnership involves more than 5.
Montreal at -11 or -17. Some light snow falling in Fredericton at -7. Halifax -3 and cloudy. -7 in Charlottetown with some light snow, or -13 with the wind chill and some cloudy skies in St. John's, hovering on the freezing mark. Now if we take a look at the overall picture, this warm front right here is what's leaving the area, and it's the remnants of it that's keeping the temperatures a little on the warmer side for this time of year, and also brought a bit of snow over the last few days. But for the next few days, nothing behind it, just clear skies. Keep an eye on this warm front, though, as it heads into northwestern Ontario, because later on in the week, towards the weekend, there is that chance of flurries in the forecast. Starting with tonight, as we take a look around the region, a 30% rather chance of flurries in Fort Frances with a low of -9 for tonight. 30% chance of flurries in Atikokan Upslow with a low of -9. Same in